How's it going, all of you beautiful people around the world? My name is Ryan, aka Blackbeard TCG, and in today's video I will be reading your comments. The reason why I wanted to make my video like this was to obviously incentivize you guys to leave a comment, and I was trying to do the comment question of the day, but a lot of you guys leave a ton of quality comments, and it's always difficult for me to just pick one comment out of all of them. So now instead, I'm going to make videos where I'll ask you guys a question and I'll tell you that I'm going to make a video dedicated to it, and then I will read all of your comments. Now, I haven't read a single one of them, so I have no clue what I'm going into. Not sure if they're going to be positive comments, negative comments, if you guys are going to call me cooked, if you guys are going to call me crazy, if you guys think I was overreacting and all of those things, but we are going to find out together. With that being said, make sure you guys hit that like button. Make sure you guys subscribe. As you guys can see here, I'm at 1.68. Are you kidding me? I should be at least 2K. Come on and help your boy out and hit that subscribe button. But with that being said, let's go ahead and read the comments. So last video, we were talking about purple, and overall I was talking about how OPO3 looks like it's going to be having some power creep. Now, I said that it's interesting. Like, I'm super excited for all the cards. Don't get me wrong. Like, it's funny. I made a post on Reddit and people were like, oh, well, if you don't like power creep, don't play the game. And I'm just like, whoa, what do you mean don't play the game? I even said in my previous video, every game, not even every card game, every game in a competitive sense that has patches, that has balance, there's power creep. That is just how it works. Even if you think about sports, the rules change, right? That's just how it goes. The players get better, all of those things. So I'm not saying I'm gonna quit. I'm just saying that power creep seems to already be approaching in set 3. So that was my take. Now let's go ahead and read your comments. So Lumpy Rock's got 5 likes. Let's go ahead and like his comment here. And Lumpy Rock says, so far the power creep seems somewhat tempered, which reassures me that we will be good for a while. I agree. When cards like Iceberg and Whitebeard break convention, they add a deficit. Very, very true, right? When we think about Whitebeard losing a life, we think about Iceberg not being able to attack. Those are pretty big repercussions. But when you think about Whitebeard, he's technically drawing an extra card, but still, you know, it's still a drawback in a sense. The multicolor leaders having less life is a good deficit too. As a relevant side note, we also have this set sharing a block number, which hints at being, oh, that's true. I didn't think of that. Okay, so as a relevant side note, we also have the sets sharing a block number, which hints at being able to rotate sets in the future so they can reset power levels if they start to get too high. Lumpy Rocks, that is a very, very true point, and correct me if I'm wrong down in the comment section below, guys, but I'm like 98, I haven't played Pokemon in a while, but I'm like 98% sure Pokemon does this with its metagame. A lot of other card games do this with their metagame as well. Some games just have like a ban list and keep every other card, whereas other card games, they just rotate sets. So you know what, Lumpy? I think that is a really good take, and you definitely opened my eyes to something that I'll be honest, I never thought of before. So that's very true, and yeah, you are right. Like, those cards do have some drawback, but I mean, you have to admit they are powerful, right? Like, you gotta admit it's a little bit of a power creep, but again, I also understand it because that's how they sell product, right? Okay, Eduardo says, love that purple seems strong in OPO3, since in OPO2 it becomes weak, and I don't think so. I disagree with you there, Eduardo. I think purple isn't bad. I think Z, I mean, I'm biased now, but I think Z is really good. Kaido is still very strong in OPO2. It topped a lot of events all over, whether it was in, I think it topped in Japan, I know it topped in Singapore for sure. Shout outs to, I believe they're the Seafood Crew, the Seafood Gang. The Seafood Gang, or I think that's what their name is. If they're watching this video, they know. Shout outs to them. I know one of them is a purple player. They played Kaido in set 1, they played Kaido in set 2 and performed very well. So I have to disagree with that. I think that purple is very good. However, now with that leader that cannot attack, but with all that support, it would be so good. Yeah, no, I do think Iceberg's gonna be good. Like, again, in my video, I even said this, like, I don't think he's gonna be OP tier 0 broken, everyone's gonna play him. No, but I mean, we have to admit it's gonna be strong, right? Like, it's definitely, it's not a King, it's not an Odin, right? I think we all can side on that. Nobody knows how broken it's gonna be because we don't know all the cards in the set, but I think we can all agree that this deck is at least going to see some competitive play. That's my opinion, at least. Plus 10 says, since games last a little on the long side, I wonder if there'll be a power creep bump for set 3, and then the game will settle back down. Personally, I was hoping the power creep would come a little bit later down the road. Same. Again, like I said before, power creep has to come. It's inevitable. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when, right? For me, like around set 5, like I'm not gonna lie, I was thinking like towards the end of this year, right? Because if we're getting set 3 now, we're probably gonna get set 4 in summertime and then set 5 in wintertime, right? So I could see that, like, you know, the game being out a full year at least here. It would be a year and a half, so maybe set 4, because then for the for the Japanese release, that release would be 1 year come the summertime, right? So I believe for the Asia release in general, it would be 1 year. So I could maybe see power creep after year 4, or set 4 rather, but year 4. Imagine if it took 4 years to power creep. The game would get stale in that sense, right? But yeah, I was expecting it to come a little bit later, but I think set 3 is a little bit early, but yeah. Xavier says, I definitely think that this is the gateway to power creep, but it's mild. Agree. 100% agree with you there. Nothing game breaking or anything yet. I agree. I 100% agree. It's a little bit of power creep, but it's nothing game breaking. I think once we start seeing crazy color combinations and dual color leaders, that's when we have to start worrying. Good take. That's a very good take. Also, of course, you know, with yellow coming in now, we'll see how yellow works. So again, to your point, with the dual color leaders and all of those things, we'll see how spicy things really become. Random guy says, I think at the moment we're not in any concerning territory. I agree. Rob Lucci dumps your hand very aggressively and can be played around if you don't play out weaker characters. True. Yeah, that's a very true point. Curl will be I cannot read. Curl will be highly reliant on his archetype, and Iceberg seems similar to Kinemon in the sense that he gets aggressive with bigger bodies quickly, but can never put up a threat alone. That's true, but then look at Kinemon. Right? Kinemon is the best, if not one of the best decks in OPO2, right? Like in terms of consistency, in terms of the amount of people playing it, performing, all of that stuff, right? So, I mean, if Iceberg comes in and he's the Kinemon of set 3, then that kind of proves the point, if you see what I'm saying. Hopefully I'm explaining it right. Nami seems to be a meme. On his own, Zeph can't carry her. That's very true. I think Nami's going to be fun to play. I don't think Nami's going to be broken by any means, but I think that she'll be fun to play. Doom, my homie Doom of the people. Always good to see Doom in the comment section because, Doom is one of the day ones. I'll say that. He's been here since the beginning. So Doom says, I think set 3 will be fine unless Galila gets Rush. Oh, and that's true, Doom, because Galila could get Rush because we're starting to see other colors get Rush now. Purple already has Rush from set 1, right? Set 2, obviously, actually, I don't think that there's any Rush in green in set 2. Black gets Rush in set 3 in the form of Rob Lucci. So yeah, we'll see. But Rob Lucci's in black and not the Rob Lucci in purple. So yeah, I'll be interested to see if Galila Company gets Rush, because that's a good point. If Galila Company gets Rush, it's searchable. You could play it for free, and then like you could just swing with it. That is true. Now set 4, now if the fourth set is expanding on themes and builds, then we might see power creep as cards get replaced with better versions to help builds. Yeah, you know what, Doom? I think that that's a good point, and I feel like it's kind of needed, but then it's interesting, because as I said, I feel like it's kind of needed. The first example that came into my mind was Odin and King. But then I was like, okay, if they buff Wano Country, Kinemon, who's OP, gets buffed, and if they buff Animal Kingdom, Kaido gets buffed. So I guess the only way that they can really do that is if they make it so, like, if your leader is King, if your leader is Odin, right? Like if they do something like that. But then in terms of balancing, what if they come out with a Yamato leader, right? And then Yamato's name counts as Odin, and then it'll be interesting. I don't know. It's an interesting take. Alexander, another person who is one of the day one, says Iceberg is gonna slap. Y'all put on notice. Set 3 purple is cracked, but as you said, so is Ace, Nami, and Yellow. Yeah, definitely Yellow. I haven't even talked that much about Yellow on my channel, but yeah, I think we all know Yellow's gonna be nuts. But going second at the end of turn 3, being at 4 Dawn with a queen and 3 other 5 cost 6k bodies is huge. Yeah, like I said, it's gonna see play, and the one thing that I love about the people playing, whether it's in Singapore, Japan, Thailand, Indonesia, like everywhere, like the metas are different, but then because they're different, they evolve so fast. So I know for a fact we're gonna be seeing some not Rob Lucci, we're gonna see some Iceberg lists that are topping 100%, and I'm excited for it. Pair Iceberg with 8 cost Kaido, 6 cost a Brachial Bomber for board care, and then activate leader skill. This leader has a lot of potential. Completely agree, Brian. Hey, Brian, hey, let's go. 1 letter off. Mario says, I don't understand why being able to search Onigashima, let's call it that way, due to similar effect, sure, is a power creep thing. In my opinion, Kaido should have gotten a search in OPO1. Consistency doesn't mean power creep. What? Currently, as a Kaido player, I'm Onigashima and Prey every game, so happy purple gets a boost. Right, okay, I agree. Mario, I'm not sure if... Oh, let me like these other comments so they know that I read it. Okay, so obviously there's the obvious power creep of, like, say if there's a vanilla, like, say if there's, right now, 3 cost vanillas are 5,000 power. Then let's say all of a sudden there's a 3 cost vanilla that's 7,000 power. Yes, that is a very obvious power creep. 100%. But power creep can definitely come in the stumbling over my words. I do this on one take. I apologize. It could definitely come in the form of consistency, right? Like Curly Dedan is power creep, right? Curly Dedan allowed Zoro to get stronger. Makino allowed Zoro to get stronger, although Makino's not a searcher. But Curly Dedan allowed Law to get stronger. You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things where consistency can if consistency increases your odds to see your good cards, it makes the deck stronger. And if that one card can make the deck stronger, that's power creep. That's the way I look at it, in my opinion. Tina just says, you have to dump the 1 Dawn on your first turn so that on your second turn you could attack with it due to summoning sickness. All the other leaders can attack and can't be removed from the board like other characters. Doubt this deck will be OP. At best, it'll be good, but not the best. I agree. Again, T-Ninja, I agree. I don't think it's going to be like super OP. I think it will see play. I think it will top, but I don't think it's going to be tier 0. Katana says the deck will be absurd. Being able to dump your 6K guys for 1 Dawn is going to be crazy in the Whitebeard match. Yeah, that is one thing I will agree with, Katana. Like, one thing that I'm thinking of for sure is that it will have a good matchup against Whitebeard. Like, because the way I look at it is your leader isn't really going to be swinging into Whitebeard early anyways, depending on the matchup, if you're playing any other leader, right? Because Whitebeard is 6, and then early game, you kind of want to establish your board rather than swing at face. Of course, obviously, if you know they're not playing the Moby Dick build, all those things come into account, right? But typically, because he's 6K or 5K, you're not swinging as much. So it's like not being able to attack with Iceberg isn't the worst, but then being able to bring out those 6K bodies are good to swing into Whitebeard to try to beat his game plan, right? So yeah, I definitely think he will have a good Whitebeard matchup, just on paper. Obviously, you have to see how it plays out. We have to see the rest of the cards, but on paper, I think it'll be good. Wow, we got a lot of comments here. Thank you so much, everybody, for leaving the comments. I'm having a ton of fun. I don't know. Also, let me know in the comment section below. Would you guys enjoy if I do something like this and then we do it live? I could do like a live stream one day. Like I could make a video. You guys leave a bunch of comments, and I could do a live stream and I could read it with you guys together. And then if other new questions come up, then we could do it live. Let me know. Just having ideas pop into my head as I do this. It's my first time doing it, right? So, okay. I don't know how to pronounce this. I'll try my best. Helsius says, I'm personally fine with this. Like you said, power creep has to happen, otherwise formats get stale. Yep, exactly. You could argue that a searchable Onigashima could be bad power creep since it's just an old card with a new benefit, but we have to see the rest of Iceberg's cards in order to know if it's a problem. Agreed. I think the issue with power creep is that it kills old decks. Digimon did this a lot where previous decks become redundant. As long as old decks are still viable, of course, maybe not as strong, I think it's healthy, which I agree. And that's the thing. Helkiss, I definitely agree with you because, again, in the beginning, we thought OPO2 was going to be like, oh, Zoro meta. But then we've seen Ivankov top. We've seen Kid come back from the ashes. We've seen Law come out of nowhere. We've seen Whitebeard performing. We see Z popping. You know what I mean? So, like, the fact that even Kaido, like, we've seen Kaido, Zoro, and the Law all start popping off in OPO2. So, I agree. As long as the older decks can still pop off, it's not that bad. That's true. So far seems broken. Hopefully not all the 5 costs are lesser. That's scary. Yeah, I think that's how they're gonna have to balance it, right? They can't make anything super like oppressive. And like the earlier comment said, if they get rushed, then that's when it gets super scary. One less attack every turn is such a downside. Yeah, I agree. And I mentioned that in the video. It is a pretty big downside. Even if it's only a 5K attack, it forces the enemy to trash card or take a life. I don't think he'll work well, but we'll see. Okay, we'll definitely see Benny. We'll definitely see Benny 11. I think he'll work well. I think the downside is good, but I think the upside is really strong. I think Iceberg looks good, but not worrisome. Being not able to attack is very bad, to be honest. I agree. The first activation of visibility basically is paying the cost for a leader to be able to attack. True. Having to go Dom Dawn -1 on turn 1 definitely hurts. I think it'll be fun to play. Yeah, that is true, but then it's like you kind of break even, Hunter. You kind of break even because once you are able to get your Galila Company, which you can search, then it starts to become less like painful. You have things like Talstone that can recover you one. So is it really that painful? Of course, we're gonna have to see other cards' abilities as well to see how much like minus Dawn their abilities are gonna have in Galila Company. But yeah, for the most part, I agree with what you're saying. I think it'll be fun to play and will be very similar to Mono Green Stompy and Magic. I don't know that reference, so I do apologize, but I'm liking your comment anyways. Thank you so much for the comment, Hunter. Oh my gosh, I thought I was almost done. We still got more. I'll try to speed through these, but I want to spend as much time with everybody as I have because you guys left these comments, so I want to answer them. I appreciate every single one of you. Nighthawk says, wow, strong. People sleeping on him. Also, it's not once per turn, so purple gets restand on leader. Oh, that's true. It's interesting because we don't really have any restand leaders, right? I don't think we have any... Wait, what am I saying? Am I like cooked? I'm like, we don't have any restand leaders. Meanwhile, we have Kid, who's super strong for restanding. We have Lucci, who's going to be able to restand. Completely ignore what I just said. We have restand leaders, but if we have a card that allows you to restand your leader, then that can be interesting because it is not once per turn. That is true, Nighthawk. Also, you could use a Dawn first, so if you play at 1 cost, yeah, exactly. So it's just like regular Kaido, right? Like you use your Dawn first, then you send it back, and then you're able to play something. So that's very strong. Doesn't even have to be turn 1. Exactly. Iceberg is sick. Power creep is real. Yep, I agree. I think we're starting to see the power creep. Purple for sure has the 5 drops, but 10 drop Kaido. Who's counting? I know that's the thing too, right? Because people don't realize like you could 10 drop Kaido and then send back 5 and then play something else, right? And then now, but then I guess is it really that good? Because then you can't attack with your leader anyway. I mean, okay, that now that I'm thinking about it, that comment is so true. If Galila Company has Rush, that is what's going to make it scary. Let's hope Galila Company doesn't have Rush. Because imagine a world where, like, you can 10 cost Kaido, blow up the board, cheat something out, right? Then on your next turn, cheat something out, that thing has Rush. And then you have 3 attackers, and you're able to blow up your opponent's whole board the turn before. I don't know, that would be nuts. That would be nuts. One of the 13 Force people. Lean Cibulo says, I'm thinking of building Nami for OPO 3 and I'm learned to build Iceberg. Amen. Build whatever you think is fun. And hopefully, the cards won't be that expensive. So we'll be able to build the decks that we want. Unbound Jackal says, definitely maining him. Okay, to get a first person set to main him. I respect that. I respect. Hey, I already called that I'm maining Ace. Unbound Jackal is calling that he is maining Iceberg. Seems so broken being able to drop a 5 drop turn 1. You get to go first, drop a 5 drop minimum 5k power. T Ninja says, all the other leaders have 5k power on the board that cannot be interacted with like the character like this leader will play. Can you please rephrase that because I'm having a hard time understanding. So basically what T Ninja is saying, Unbound Jackal, is basically like the benefit that you're saying other decks will have because their leader is automatically a 5k body. Excuse me. So that's what it's saying. That's what T Ninja's saying. So I do see T Ninja's point. Excuse me. Sorry. Don't have any water with me here. But yeah, it'll definitely be interesting to see how it develops. Grand Line Adventure says going second with Iceberg will be unreal. Yeah, I agree. Bon Boyo says, I didn't see the Lucci card until now. I audibly gasped, bro. That's what I'm saying, bro. I'm telling you, like, sure, some of the things are going to be able to be played around, of course. Like, I agree. But, I don't know. Again, maybe this deck is terrible. But just on paper, man, the paper looks wild. -1 Dawn ability isn't once per turn. He can go run nuts. Of course, you could rest it. Just hope there's no restand abilities. Yeah, exactly. You have to rest him to do it, so the ability is once per turn. Yeah, the ability is once per turn, but agreed. Like Emmanuel said this, like the other comment said earlier, being able to restand, if that mechanic ever comes, it will be a little bit more scarier. -1 Dawn for 5 Dawn value seems to pay back itself over 5 turns of play where you can only play that 1 Dawn. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, these cards, you're probably never going to actually play it unless, of course, you play it and then cheat out something else after, right? Which you definitely can do, which, again, makes the deck seem really strong. But the character could have hit the leader 5 times by then, which is true. Yes, this is busted. The opponent will have to buff their leader to 6k to remove the 5 cost, assuming no counters, so the opponent loses their dons just trying to remove the characters that just attacked. So I don't see how anybody can stop the snowball. that is a good point. Yeah, because if not, you can just keep swinging with your five costs, right? And then, like, for example, if they KO your tile stone, you get that 1 Dawn back, so it replenishes itself. So that is true, because your opponent is going to want to eliminate them from the board, and they're not always just going to jet pistol. They're not always just going to use the removal that's in black. They're going to have to attack into it, meaning that they're going to have to attach Dawn, or as the game gets into the mid game, start to swing over, and which you can also defend with. So yeah, again, I think it's going to be strong. Let me go ahead and like these comments as well. We're almost done here. Just a couple more comments. Cheating 5 Dawn is huge. First turn 5 Dawn cheat. Auto win, anyone? Kenny, I don't think it's going to be an auto win, but I do think it's definitely going to be strong. But yeah, cheating 5 Dawn is huge. One of 13 Force people also made another comment saying Kaido's deck really needs a search card to boost it. Hey man, I think Kaido is already strong, okay? I think Kaido is very strong, and it's gonna keep getting strong as purple gets more cards. Kaido was good in set 1. Kaido was good in set 2 because it got the Impel down package, and who knows, maybe there's gonna be some events in Galila that will help Kaido as well. Charles says, I think the most worrisome thing here is how you're saying Galila. Hey, isn't it Galila? It's not Galila? Galila. Is it Galila? I thought it's Galila. Okay, so Triple G TCG says Iceberg definitely is looking strong. There's a world where you can play 10 cost Kaido and get a 5 cost character. Oh, yep, we talked about that earlier. I do think not being able to attack is a huge drawback. Yep, I agree, especially against a deck that can control the board. I think this deck's weaknesses might be similar to Zoro in that unless we see some card draw for the deck, you'll run out of gas pretty quickly. Good point. In terms of the comments, 10 cost Kaido does not work on non-Animal Kingdom leaders. You can still play the card, you just can't activate. Okay, so if that's true, then that scratches the thing that I said earlier about being able to 10 cost Kaido, play something, and then play another thing, because it's not Animal Kingdom. Okay, good point. Good point. Thank you for pointing that out, Hunter. I did not know that. Let me go ahead and like that comment. Okay. Journal said you can still play the card, just can't activate. Yeah. Okay, and last comment is, I think you're overreacting. Thanks, Michael. I mean, am I overreacting? I don't think I'm overreacting saying that I'm worried that we're getting power creep that early. Again, I'm not saying like, oh, the game's ruined. Like, there's no point in playing the game anymore. Bandai ruined the game. Like, I think that would be overreacting. But I think I'm pretty tame in saying like, oh, we're getting power creep pretty early. I mean, Michael, do you really think that OPO3 isn't bringing power creep? Have you looked at the new Ace cards? Have you looked at have you looked at the new the Searchable Galila Company? Have you looked at the new Virgo, right? Like, these cards are really strong. Have you looked at Yellow? I mean, if you think I'm overreacting and saying set 3 has some OP stuff and it's power creep, then fair enough. Maybe I'm overreacting. In my opinion, I'm saying I'm just being cautious, right? I'm just saying I'm noticing it. I'm saying it's a little bit worrying. We'll see how things continue to develop. But with that being said, thank you so much, guys. Amazing comments. I love this. I had so much fun making this video. I will be doing something like this again a little bit more into the future. And with all of that being said, I love you guys all so much. Thank you so much for being such an awesome community. You guys are the best. Make sure you guys like this video, subscribe, stay tuned for more, and I will catch you guys later. Peace.